arcade video game cabinets were designed to capture attention and built to earn their keep on the game room floor. But in the arcade business, space is limited, attention is finite, and time moves quickly. What determines which games stay and which games quietly vanish? In this episode, high cost and lifespans. To offset the rising cost of designing, manufacturing, and marketing games, game companies felt compelled to slap hefty price tags on arcade game cabinets. In 1965, Periscope sold for $1,295. When Space Invaders arrived, the price tag had increased to $1,700. By 1981 and 82, new games were hitting the $2,500 mark. In 1983, $2,500 became the floor price for video games, and the ceiling soared to $3,500. Okay, call me crazy, but this guy looks like he's gonna cold cock this guy in the face. And over here, we got zombie baseball going on. Zombie baseball. 1984, Laserdisc games hit the mainstream. Titles like Dragon's Lair and Space Ace set operators back around $4,500. These video game cabinets weren't cheap. As games became more sophisticated and more costly to develop, the price of arcade cabinets rose accordingly. When cabinet prices climbed, operators had to invest more money up front. It tightened cash flow and increased the time required to recover their investment. When operators had all their money tied up in the purchase cost of game cabinets, it made it harder to fund other important operational costs, like buying new game releases to keep the arcade fresh and attract repeat players, replacing aging or underperforming machines with newer titles, purchasing other revenue-generating machines like pinball machines, redemption games, or even a jukebox, investing in spare parts, monitors, or control components for easy repairs that you could do yourself. It's hard to run a business when you are strapped for cash. Let's do some simple math. If I bought a game in 1982 and paid $2,500 for it, and that game machine averaged $109 per week, it would take a full 6 months for the game to pay for itself and start to eke out a little bit of a profit. At first glance, this might seem pretty good, but in reality, I would be surviving by the skin of my teeth because the lifespan of a game was notoriously short. In 1982, Nintendo of America sued a group of game manufacturers for selling and distributing a game that had no business in America. Donkey Kong was first released in 1981 by Nintendo of Japan in Japan. It was a huge hit, and Nintendo could not keep up with demand. So they sold a license to a smaller game manufacturer named Falcon. Falcon was essentially allowed to make a knockoff game that looked like Donkey Kong and played like Donkey Kong, but it wasn't Donkey Kong. This was Crazy Kong. The licensing agreement strictly prohibited Falcon from exporting or importing games or game components to or from territories outside of Japan. For every Crazy Kong game cabinet that Falcon sold, Falcon had to pay Nintendo of Japan 10,000 yen. But somehow, someway, mysteriously, Crazy Kong game cabinet started showing up in America. Oh my, so shocked. Once Nintendo of America found out that Crazy Kong was being manufactured and sold in the US, they took legal action. The district court ordered an injunction and US Marshals fanned out across the country searching and seizing Crazy Kong coin-op game machines. The interesting thing about this whole Crazy Kong drama, and the main reason why I'm mentioning this, is because during the courtroom proceedings, Nintendo of America openly stated that the commercial audio-visual game lifespan was notoriously very short. According to Nintendo, even popular game sales would dramatically decrease after 6 to 12 months. During the 80s, more and more games were succumbing to what had been described as a short shrift. Games that start off hot, but soon fizzle out. Some notable examples of short shrift games were Cakes, Kickman, and Bosconian.
Alert! Alert!
Think about Christmas. Every year there seems to be that one big toy, you know, the one every kid has to have. But there are always those second and third tier toys on the Christmas list. They look great under the tree, but the novelty of the toy soon wears off, and they find themselves buried deep in the abyss of the toy closet. Oh, the dreaded toy closet. If you played with a Christmas gift for only a couple of weeks, it was a dud. Well, the economic lifespan of a video game was much the same. A game is released on the market. Interest is high. The game is hot. Weekly earnings are strong. This is simply known as a hot game. As players get better at playing the game and newer games come into the market, the weekly revenue starts to level off a bit. And the once hot game moves to the filler stage. It's not the main earner, but it still earns. Finally, the game will enter the dead stage. At this stage, the game is, well, dead. It doesn't earn any significant money and probably should be moved to a different location or sold altogether if possible.